Hello again, sunshines. Pleasure to have you back in the online classroom again. So, today, just like before, you'll have your time to do your activities. What I would like you to do is, I'd like you to take 3 minutes to do this do now. So, I'll be quiet for 10 seconds. You can pause the video and just take 3 minutes to do this do now. So, the do now is if you had to move to an area because of weather, what would be your ideal, meaning best, place? Why does this weather appeal to you so much? So I'll just leave it there. I'll be quiet for 10 seconds. So I hope you all enjoyed thinking of the place that you would love to live. Um, I wonder how many of you went to really warm places. Meanwhile, I reckon there would have been a good number of you that probably went for cold places because you're a bit tired of this Australian summer and it does burn you out a bit. For myself, I know the place that I definitely move is Malta, lovely and sunny all throughout the year with a nice wind going through it. But that's just me. So I hope you enjoyed thinking about those places that you'd rather live. Let's go through this. So, today we are talking about environmental factors influence perceptions of livability. Okay, so there's a lot in there, and we'll go through all of those words. Okay, but the one that we definitely know is the one at the end, livability. Okay, determining how people can live in a place and is it livable. Okay, so let's go through this. First of all, what is an environmental factor? Okay, well, first of all, let's remember that a factor is a part of something that impacts or influences it. Therefore, an environmental factor is how the environmental impacts or influences how we view the livability of an area. Okay, so an environmental factor is all about how does the environment influence how we live in an area, okay, or how we view it. So the environmental factor is often called environmental quality, which is how the characteristics of an environment or place affects people's physical or mental health. So all environmental factor and all environmental quality is how does the place, how does the environment affect people's physical or mental health? Okay? So how does the environment affect people's physical or mental health? The second word that we definitely have to know is what is perception. Okay? And perception is how we view something. Our perception can be changed by things called influences, which will determine how we value something. This lesson will be looking at environmental influences. So basically, how does the environment change the way that we look at something and value it? So, for example, if something has very bad environmental quality, then our view of a place, our perception, will become a negative view. Okay, because it's going to have those bad things not going for it. For example, if a place is super duper hot, like the desert, and it's just killing everything because of the heat, then the environmental quality might not be high, and our perception of it would be that is not a very livable place. So let's keep on going. So, climate and landforms. First of all, what's climate? Now you might remember this from year 7. Okay? Climate is the average weather conditions of an area over a long period of time. So keep in mind it's different from the average weather. The average weather could be it's raining one day but it's sunny the next day. Climate is all about looking at what's it like on average. For example, our part in Sydney, Australia, okay? The climate is generally warm. Okay, we don't have many very cold days here. So we would say we have a warm climate. However, you can have days where it's sometimes 0 degrees or very rarely below 0 degrees. But that's not the climate. That's just the weather of one day. Okay? Now, people can move for many reasons. But one of the main reasons they move is for climate. So what I want us to do is we're going to have a look at this advertisement for tourism in Australia, and I want you to answer the following questions. What type of weather do they feature in the advertisement? And do they show any particular types of environments to convince people from overseas to visit Australia? So what are they showing in the advertisement that's really sort of going, oh, that climate looks very nice, or that feature looks very nice? Let's have a look at it.
That's not a knife. That's a knife. That's me.
Brian Dundee?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Why do you keep saying really?
You right there, mate?
Nothing to see here, man. Just getting a clean shave with my machete.
See you next week, Barry. You know, when your dad did it, he was much...
Okay, and when my dad told me about this, he was just like, yeah, I just came up and he did this, okay?
I just don't think he can see you from back here.
Not a lot of crocs out here, huh?
It's just 37,000 miles of pristine, beautiful beach, mate. Did you know that Australia makes some of the finest wines in the entire world?
No, I didn't know that.
Thank you very much.
Wait, hold up. This isn't a movie.
No.
It's a tourism ad for Australia.
Yes. But listen, you're the best Crocodile Dundee since Crocodile Dundee.
Really?
Yes, really. And we had the best trip ever, didn't we?
It was pretty sweet.
Hey, you know, there are some great flight deals to Australia right now.
Dude, I get it. It's not a movie, it's a commercial.
So that was an ad for Australia's tourism. Okay. Now, when we're looking at that ad, you want to think about, well, what are they showing in that ad? Okay, what type of weather? And you could see from the weather, it was nice, wasn't it? There wasn't any rainy days in there. It was nice and sunny, warm, okay, which would really appeal to certain people, okay, because they might come from relatively cold countries and they're going, oh, I'd like somewhere warm, okay. And do they show any particular types of environments to convince people from overseas to visit Australia? Have a look at the rainforests that they show, the lovely beaches. Okay, they made that a very big idea in the trailer. Oh, look at the beaches, 37,000 miles of pristine beaches. Okay, these are one of the reasons that people will come over here for a change in climate and landforms. And we'll go through what landforms are a bit more in this lesson. But these are big reasons why people would come over. So let's keep on going. So let's do England versus Australia. Okay. Now on the top picture, you have an average beach in Australia. Okay, lovely and bright, everything like that. And then you have England. Okay. Now this is just one photo of millions taken from England. England doesn't look like this every day. This is taken within the capital of England, London. Okay. But on a whole, London rains a lot more than Australia does. And it can look very gloomy, very dark. Meanwhile, Australia on a whole has a lot more brighter days. Or Sydney in particular has a lot more brighter days than London does. Okay, so let's read through this. Many people move from the UK to Australia, saying better weather as one of their reasons. In 2016, more than 1 million people in Australia were born in the UK, making it our largest overseas group. So let's look at the two pictures, okay? One of Australia and one of England. Keep in mind the weather isn't like this all the time. And write down 3 reasons why someone might move from England to Australia. So looking at those two pictures, okay, England on the bottom, Australia on the top, write down 3 reasons why you think people might move from England to Australia. Thinking about climate and landform, okay? I'll give you 2 minutes today. I'll be quiet for 10 seconds. So, you should have been saying a lot of what I actually said before. It looks sunny, it looks bright, Okay, there's a much more bigger natural landscape. Okay, and you can see the very big difference between the two cities. Okay, so let's keep on going. So, climate. Okay, looking at these graphs, answer the three questions. What is the average weather of Sydney and London in August? What is the coldest month in London? And what degrees Celsius does it reach? And what is the coldest month in Sydney? What degrees Celsius does it reach? Okay, so what is the average weather of Sydney and London in August? Let's have a look at this one, okay? So hopefully you can see my screen and you can see the mouse on it, okay? So average weather of Sydney and London in August. So let's have a look at Sydney here, okay? And we're going to go down and we're going to look at August, okay? The average weather of Sydney in August. So the average weather in August is 18 degrees at a high point in the day. That's the highest it's going to go in August, okay? And maybe at the coldest point in the night, okay, it will go down to 9 degrees, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to compare that to London. Now in August, London, their high point is 23 degrees and their low point is 15 degrees. So that's the average temperature. Now you can actually see in August, they're actually warmer than us. Now we know why that might be, because Australia is on the southern hemisphere. So in August, we're having our colder months. Meanwhile, London is in the northern hemisphere, they're having their warmer months. Okay, so we can write that down. Now what I want you to do for the next two questions, okay, we have what is the coldest month in London? What degrees Celsius does it reach? So looking through London's one here, find the coldest month, okay? And a third one, what is the coldest month in Sydney? What degrees Celsius does it reach? Find the coldest month in Sydney and then compare them. How does it compare between the coldest month in Sydney and the coldest month in London? I'll give you, let's say, 3 minutes to do that. I'll be quiet for 10 seconds so you can do that. Okay, so we all should have done that. So the coldest month in London. So let's have a look at the highs. Okay, and let's go look at London. Okay, so the highest, or the lowest high that we can see is January, February, and December. Okay, so your average day in London, the average temperature that it's going to reach during those low months is 9 degrees. Okay, it could sink as low as 4 degrees during the night or the cold parts of the day, especially in January. Okay, now the coldest month in Sydney, let's have a look. Okay, we go down and it's 17 degrees in June and July. Quite a big difference from London. Their cold months get really cold. Meanwhile, our cold months, they're not too bad. They're only 17 degrees compared to their 9 degrees. So you can see that it's quite a big difference from the two cities. Okay, so if a person wanted on average to have warmer days, then they would of course be going to Sydney. Okay, let's keep on going. So climate, moving for the weather. As you can see, people may move from city to city and country for a weather change. The state of Queensland is an excellent example. Okay, so a lot of people will be moving to Queensland for good weather. You might even have some people in your own family that have moved from New South Wales to Queensland. It becomes a very big thing, and there's tens of thousands of people every year that do it. Okay? So, let's have a look at this table here. Okay, factors in moving for weather. Age can be a massive factor in people moving for weather. This table shown here shows a number of cities/towns that are popular destinations for people moving for a weather change. Calculate the average age of people living in these towns by adding them all together and dividing by the number of options. Okay, so this is the average age. Okay, and you're going to find the average age of all these people living in these towns. So what you're going to do is you're going to go 59 plus 56 plus 49 plus 57 all the way down to the end, and you're going to divide it by the number of options that there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you're going to plus them all together and then divide by 8. And that will give you the average age of all the people that live in all these different towns. So I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. Please feel free to use your calculator on this one. Okay? I'll give you 2 minutes. So, all of these locations, even though they're in different states, okay, they are all areas that people like to move to for the weather, okay? And some of you might have even noticed that a lot of these areas are coastal areas, okay? They're next to the coast. So people want to move to these areas because it's nice weather. So let's have a look at what your average age was, okay? So what you should have gotten is 52. Okay, so plussing all those together and then dividing by 8. So the average age of all these towns/cities is 52 years old. Therefore, mostly older peoples are moving/staying in these places. According to the 2011 census data, the places with the older populations in Australia are mostly found on the coast. So when people get older, they generally want to move somewhere with nicer weather, okay? You're old, your bones are starting to creak, cold weather really starts to hurt you. So a lot of people that are older in age, they're going to be moving towards these areas because of the climate, okay? And that's going to change how they perceive this area. Their version of livability is going to be, ooh, that area has a very nice climate. I'm going to move there because that's livable for me. Okay, let's keep on going. So, tree changers and sea changers. A sea or tree changer is someone who has moved to a coastal or rural area for the reason of escaping the rat race and living in a less stressful manner. This rat race is a common term for the stress of living and working in a city. So, living in a city and working in the city is quite stressful. Okay, you're always on the move, and this is called the rat race. Okay, so let's have a look at this question, okay? Looking at the geo fact, why do you think most people live in these cities? What benefits do they gain from it? So looking at this geo fact, let's read it, okay? As of September 2013, around 2/3 of the Australian population live in our capital cities. The largest growth outside of our capital cities is on the coast. The fastest growth rate in the time period between 2012 and 2013 is the Upper Coomera Willow Vale Gold Coast area. So there's a lot of people living there. Okay, so I'll give you a minute. And I want you to think about, why do people live in these capital cities? If it's so stressful there, why are they living there? Okay, I'll shut up for 10 seconds and I want you to have 1 minute to think about why they're living there and write down your answers. So, why do they live in these capital cities? So, the answer is they have access to resources, facilities, services, and employment. So even though living in these cities might be a bit stressful, most people are going to live in them for access to all of these things here. Because you got to think about it, where are most of the jobs going to be? Of course they're going to be in the city because that's where most people are and that's where most of our industry is. Okay, it's a bit hard to find a job in the countryside. And if all the jobs are here, then all of the resources and facilities are going to be here. For example, it's very easy, relatively, to go to the hospital in the city. You might be waiting for a bit, but you can get to the hospital. Meanwhile, if you live in the countryside, getting to the hospital can be quite a challenge. I remember having a family member who had cancer, and he lives 8 hours away from the hospital drive. So every couple of days, he would have to go for chemotherapy, his treatment, and because he was old and he didn't have anyone else to live with, he had to drive for 8 hours that day, go to the hospital, get chemotherapy, and sometimes even have to drive back home. So that was very difficult living in the country for him. And that's why a lot of people live in the city, because it has access to all of these different things. So let's keep on going. Now, the other one that we have is landform. We've talked quite a lot about climate, but let's talk about landforms now. Okay? People may often move to an area because of its physical beauty. Often one natural landform, such as a distinctive mountain like Fuji, which is pictured to the right, may draw people to live in the area. What is a natural landform that you can think of that may draw people to live in an area? Okay, so think of something beautiful, think of something natural, like a mountain or a park area or something like that. And think about, does it draw people there? Do you think it might? Then write it down. So I'll give you a minute for that. So natural landforms will always draw people to live next to them, okay? Because they're beautiful and people want to be next to them, and sometimes they also know that tourists will come for the natural landforms, so they'll build their house there so that they can build a business around the tourists. A great example of that is the Grand Canyon in the United States. A wonderful thing. If you have a chance, Google it. People will live next to it because it's amazing, so they can visit it, and also so they can benefit from the tourists that want to visit it as well. So, what are we going to be doing next lesson? Well, next lesson is going to be all about resources. Okay, so we talked about climate and landforms and how they influence people's livability perceptions. If an area has got nice weather, it will improve their livability perceptions. If it's got a very nice natural landform, they're going to go, oh, that's pretty. That will improve their livability as well, because they'll go, this place is nice. I think it has a nice area. I think it looks pretty. I think it's very livable. Okay, so next lesson we're going to look at resources and how they affect people's livability. And this is just all the stuff that I referenced in the lesson, okay? So have a good day, and I hope you're all staying safe.